Right, here we have the Class 37 about to be dismantled. Step 1 is the brass screw on the underside of the motor holding the body to the chassis. Single brass screw. Once that is removed, body comes off the chassis like so, and we can see the chassis and the bogies. That is the armature that is to be replaced. Now, first, have to remove the motor bogie from the chassis. This is done with the spring clip, which is removed. That will then free the motor bogie from the chassis. You need to be careful, remembering that you've got the electrical pickups from the other bogie, which on some engines people have actually put connectors in. On this particular one they are soldered, so it's not going to be as easy as it could be. The armature can only be removed from the motor bogie once the whole thing is dismantled. So to start with, we'll remove the top screw, which isolates the two positive and negative wires from their copper pickups either side, which also transfer power to the brushes. We remove the brush spring, like so. There's the first of the brushes has come out with it, and then with the pliers the second of the brushes. Always check the brushes to see how they're worn. You can see on here, if you look carefully, you can see that there is burn marks on the edge of one of the brushes and also on the mating brush for the other side. That is probably caused by the armature moving against the brush on the bearings. Where the bearings have failed to hold it steady, it's allowing it to move up and down, which is causing sparking and burning of the brushes. Right, we have the two copper pickup strips which need to be removed. Be very careful when doing this, because on these particular type of motor bogie, the copper pickup strips are mounted on tiny little plastic lugs on the body, which are rather fragile, and on older models sometimes you will find the lugs have actually been snapped off, which can make it very difficult to mount the copper strips properly. But there we have the main part of the chassis with the copper pickups removed. Once again, you can see here this one's been cleaned, but on the other side you've got dirty copper connections. Always clean those up, because dirty copper leads to poor electrical pickup. Next, remove the plastic moulding from the top of the permanent magnets. Make sure you don't lose the little brass nut and screw. There's the moulding, and then we have the two magnets with the spacer either side of the armature. Remove the spacer. The magnets are then ready to be removed, but they can't be removed from the top, they have to be removed from the bottom. To do that, I have to remove the 4 screws on the underneath.
It's not a Bob standard job, this, is it?
Well, it's not too difficult.
It's basically right at the bottom of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's the main part of the motor, so you've got to take the whole thing apart to do it. As usual, you've got to make sure you've got the right tools, and a decent set of small hobby screwdrivers is essential. Also a pair of long nose pliers. Right, the screws are removed. There's the bottom plate. On these particular type 37s, they're fitted with what was called magnet adhesion. These are two magnets which suck the bogie down to the track, which gives you very, very good adhesion and traction power when pulling long rakes of wagons or coaches.
It's a very strong motor, that is actually.
Yeah. I mean, being the older models from the 70s, this
Metal.
is a casting rather than the plastic you get from the cheap Hornby models of today. Right, now the armature is ready to be removed. Comes out through the bottom. There's the chassis of the Motor Bogie and the two magnets. You should really try and keep them in order.
If not,
and
it
it can do. Anyway, here we go. You can see from this one that both bearings, plastic bearings here and here, both are broken, which is allowing the motor to move up and down inside the casing, which is leading, you can see here, scoring and burning on the commutator. That is scrap, unless you can figure a way of taking the worm gears off and replacing it.
Which is a bit of a faff.
Always check that what you have got as a replacement is the right one. Alongside, you can see overall length is the same, diameter is the same, commutator rings are the same on each end. It wouldn't do to put it back together and find it is wrong. So, that's it for the dismantling. Okay, while you've got your engine in pieces, it would be good to take the opportunity to make sure that any little maintenance can be done, especially with regard to the electrical pickup. Dirty contacts lead to poor running, lead to voltage drop, generation of heat. So while you've got it all apart, clean it up. Okay, the most obvious point of losing voltage is the pickup from the wheels. Wheels contact the engine with the rails. If these are dirty, you're not going to get anywhere. I've found over the years the best way of keeping these clean is a little bit of fine emery paper, and just run it gently around the mating surface of the wheels, backwards and forwards, and very quickly you can see you will get a lovely smooth shiny surface compared with the dirty surface of the other wheels. If you do all four, you will get a good electrical pickup. Especially on the Motor Bogie, you have to remember that all four wheels connect to the copper pickup strips. So make sure all four are clean. Once you've cleaned them, just give them a blow to get rid of any abrasive dust that comes off the sandpaper, because that will completely ruin your motor very quickly. Right. Once the mating surface of the wheel to the rail has been cleaned, you've got to remember that the pickup works on the inside of the wheels, the copper strips that we have here. So they pick up off the inside. Again, they've got to be cleaned, because otherwise we're back to square one again. Dirty surfaces. So again, gentle rub with a little bit of emery paper just to clean up the surface, give you a good electrical pickup.